An important thing to understand is the American healthcare system is very different than a lot of other healthcare systems. Georgia, New York, wherever it may be, it really doesn't matter. I want to know that you have an understanding for how our healthcare system works.
Discuss an assessment, we go over a plan, and we discuss management options, including differential diagnosis. The goal here is to teach you different options, all right? So the medications that are available.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is the USMLE Sarthi team. I'm Pawan, and today I'm joined by a very special, our partners, preceptors, Dr. Singh and Dr. Wadhwa, both of them very, very open to IMG rotations, have been helping IMGs, our students in rotations and in match as well. So today we wanted to know a bit more about their rotations and how that helps preparing the IMGs in their math journey. So welcome to you both. Very glad that you're here.
Thank you for having us.
So Dr. Singh and Dr. Wadhwa, let's start with a bit of an introduction about both of you. So, how long have you been helping IMGs? A bit of a background about yourself.
So I'm Dr. Singh. I'm a board certified family and obesity medicine physician. Little background about me. So I did my bachelor's degree in biological sciences at University of California, Irvine, many years ago. I'm also an IMG. I did my medical school training at American University of Antigua. And at that time where I did it, we had a program where we did 2 years in India at KMCIC, Kasturba Medical College, and then 2 years doing rotations, clinical rotations through various sites in the US. And then, we went through the same process that most IMGs go through. I did my family medicine residency at Rush Copley in Illinois, and I'm now in private practice. I have multiple locations in Anaheim, multiple locations in Orange County, but 2 in Anaheim, 1 in Huntington Beach. And a fun little fact, I also do aviation medical exams. So I help medically clear pilots to fly, and I'm currently pursuing my private pilot license.
Interesting, very interesting. Yes, Dr. Wadhwa.
Sure. So my name is Manveer Wadhwa. I essentially, similar path to him. He kind of guided me through a lot of it. He's my older brother. I went to KMCIC, Kasturba Medical College in Manipal for 2 years for my undergraduate. Then I went to American University of Antigua for my medical school. I did 2 years in Antigua, and then I did 2 years of clinical rotations in New York as well as Atlanta. Luckily, I was able to match back in California and Riverside, and that's currently where I'm working as a hospitalist in addition to working outpatient with Dr. Singh as well. I do rotate through all the clinics as well with him, and essentially I'm also an international medical graduate, and I truly love to help and teach others. It's my real passion more than anything else.
Thank you. So let's just dive into your rotations. What does the day in the life look like for an IMG?
Sure. So when you guys come to the clinic, we offer both in-person and we offer both telehealth rotations. So the ones that are in-person, we start at 8:30, whether you're in-person or you're telehealth, 8:30 California time. Sometimes 9, depends on the day and, how things are going. We will first look at the list of patients. We'll kind of go through each patient together. There are typically around 20 to 25 patients. We have a mix of in-person patients. We have a mix of telehealth, and we work together. We pre-chart on the patients. So if I'm on Zoom, we'll share the screen. We'll talk about the patients. We'll see, okay, let's see what they're coming in for. Look at the labs, see what we need to review on the labs. What are some medications that they're on? What are things that we're really going to focus on today? And then, when patients come in, there's always some surprises. You're always going to have some acute concerns. Sometimes it's just 1, sometimes it's none, sometimes it's 10. It just varies on the patient. And anytime I go into the room, obviously with the patient's consent, I always let them know that either you're listening on the computer or, you will introduce yourself and say, I'm a student working with Dr. Singh right now. Is it okay that I'm part of this, be a part of this visit? And then you'll, go around, we'll see all the patients, and at the end of it, we discuss each case closely. I like to focus on problem-based charting. That's how we did mostly in residency. Okay, that's what I want to prepare you guys for. We discuss an assessment, we go over a plan, and we discuss management options, including differential diagnosis, pathophysiology, meds, mechanism of actions of meds, growing that toolbox of meds of what options are available to you, and management plan. And then to provide you an EMR experience, I have the students, they will be documenting in the EMR for some of the patients. It's difficult to do it for all of them, so we start slow, and then we kind of build up as you get comfortable. So our goal here is to teach you different options. All right. So the medications that are available, what are prior auths? When I was in India, there was no such thing as a prior auth. Here, you're going to be doing a lot of prior auths. What insurances look like here? All right. How do insurances work? What are some billing, codes that you're going to be using? What are some things like metrics that you have to meet by the end of the year. So it's a very intensive rotation, and it's meant and tailored to approach you to get you ready for residency.
And a little bit to add to that, I think an important thing to understand is the American healthcare system is very different than a lot of other healthcare systems throughout the world. A lot of our care is guided by insurance-based care. So it's not necessarily always what we want to give for the patient, it's what we're able to give the patient. And that's something that we learn a lot throughout the rotation itself too. This is something residency will teach you. This is a great and excellent head start for it. It's a good way to impress your attendings during residency as well.
So just building up on that, impressing the residency program directors and attendings, what do these program directors look for when they see on the application an IMG has done US clinical experience?
So in our stance, a little bit about myself, I'm an academic hospitalist. I do work at a residency program, internal medicine. I am part of the interview process as well too. I've interviewed for this cycle. The biggest thing we look for more than anything else is just any sort of United States clinical experience in general. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be hands-on or anything like that. I want to know that you have an understanding for how our healthcare system works. Because if you don't have that understanding, teaching that is an immense task, essentially, more than anything else. So the more clinical experience you have in America, regardless where it may be, it's going to be a very, very big supporting factor, essentially, for your application as well, too.
Obviously, the students have to earn their letters of recommendation. Now, a program director, I'm assuming will weigh US clinical experience LOR very, very heavily.
Of course, especially when you're comparing it to international LORs, US LOR has significantly more weight.
So then there is another perception that if you want to match on the East Coast, you should just focus all your rotations on the East Coast, and California is mostly for IMGs who have ties to California. How true is that?
I think I'm a perfect example of why that's not true. So a little bit about myself. I did all my rotations on the East Coast, and I ended up matching in the West Coast. So it's not necessarily about where you do your clinical observerships or anything. It's all about where you want to be. So if you're open to being in California, I definitely think it doesn't matter whether you do it in Georgia, New York, wherever it may be. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that a little bit. I did my clinical rotations everywhere except Illinois, where I matched. So I think it's about the strength of the letter, the clinical experiences that you've had, what you learned from the clinical experiences. I think that's what speaks volumes. At the end of the day, you're going to say, this is where I want to go, whether you have ties in that area or not, or whether you like just the weather in that area. People like California for the weather. So it just varies on where you want to go, but I don't think that rotations where you didn't play have that much of an impact, as long as you're doing the rotations. And as Dr. Wadhwa mentioned earlier, a lot of students come in and they say, I did 3 rotations to get 3 LORs, and now I expect to match. That is not enough. On your resume, you should not have gaps. Mm-hmm. Making sure that you're trying to stay busy every single month doing a rotation, that's key. So saying the more that you can do, if you have a year, I personally know program directors in the area, if they're looking at somebody and they're saying this person has 1 year clinical experience versus this person has 3-month clinical experience, they're going to go with, and the scores are similar and everything else is about similar, they're going to go with the 1 year clinical experience because they've had more time to learn the system here, learn the processes, and be ready for residency.
Yeah, more exposure, essentially. Also more patient cases as well, too. So all of these are very, important when you're assessing a candidate.
So building on that, in terms of patients, so what can student expect in terms of patient pathologies, demographics? What can they do? What can they expect when they come to you?
So I do family medicine. So you'll see all cases that are 16 and above. We have combined this clinic into more of a family and internal medicine because Dr. Wadhwa was internal medicine. So we have kind of combined it into both. So you will see a lot of pathophysiologies. We try to do a lot of things in-house. We manage a lot of conditions that otherwise, people may refer out for. We try to do it in-house the best that we can. We have a lot of consultants that are actually in-house. So we have pulm critical care here, cardiology. That's one of the rotations that we also have, that we offer.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So that's, we have all those availability. Derm, we have a very close derm in-house that we address with any concern. So We try to make it where it's a very good learning environment for the students. And we have a very, very wide range of pathophysiologies, huge demographic population, Hispanic, Caucasian, African American, Indians. I mean, it's, Asians. We have a huge population. So in my panel, I have around, I want to say 5,000 patients, and then we kind of split those patients up accordingly.
Also, to expand on that as well, too, we have a lot of different insurances that we accept as well, which can essentially also help you understand the difference in care that based on the insurance or availability that each patient has. So it's a truly unique experience in that sense.
I guess finally, the other questions that a lot of students have is logistics and cost of living. Many IMGs cannot drive, so that becomes an issue, and the cost of living. So how are these two things in your area?
So if somebody wants to be by the beach and they want to be next to the water, enjoy the sunshine, and have a back door open up onto the sand, then it's going to be a little bit pricier. So that's what the Huntington Beach location is. But if you get a little bit, closer, we're about 3 miles on the Huntington Beach location, about 3 miles from the water. So it is a little bit more affordable here. Anaheim is more inland. Anaheim has both internal medicine, family medicine, and cardiology rotations, and they're all within a mile radius of each other. So if you have, there's a lot of students that have rented housing there. It's much more affordable. It gets cheaper as, I think, the more time that you stay. So a lot of the students that we've had in the past, they'll actually do 3 rotations. They'll do internal medicine, family medicine, and cardiology, one location, and they know that they can go to, for 2 of the rotations, it's at one clinic, and then for the 3rd rotation, it's a mile away. So they figure out the transportation. There's buses, there's Uber. Some students have actually found housing right next to it where they just walk to the clinic. So, and it's definitely much more affordable in the Anaheim area. Huntington Beach still affordable and gives you good sunshine and good beach views. So it depends on what you're looking for.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wadhwa and Dr. Singh. Anything that we missed? Anything else that you want to highlight?
I think the most important thing is try to get as much U.S. clinical experience as you can. That should be the takeaway point. Again, 3 months is not enough. If you're just trying to satisfy a check mark and saying, I have 3 LORs, it's about how strong are your LORs. If I know that you worked with a physician for 3 months, to me personally, that speaks volumes, that you worked with one person for 3 months in a row. That tells me you're getting more comfortable. I value that LOR with higher strength than somebody that you've only worked with for 4 weeks. And that person, whoever's writing your LOR, will have better idea of who you are. They'll be able to write you a stronger LOR, and those things do make a huge impact.
Right. So maybe I'll close off by asking you one last question in terms of student readiness, preparation, or prerequisite. So what do you expect a student to come prepared with before they start their rotation?
Why don't you start?
So I personally like them to be motivated. That's the most important thing. So you're going to have HIPAA training, which is an online course that you can do, and we'll go over that as well. But it's about motivation. I would like the students when they come in to be excited to learn, to be motivated to learn, to be engaging in conversations and differentials, looking up things that they don't know.
Right.
Okay. All these things directly are reflected in the LOR. So when I have somebody who I notice they don't understand, they don't have the answer to a question one day, but the next morning they come back and they say, hey, I found the answer to this question. That tells me that they're going home, they're doing their research, they're looking things up, they're motivated, and they actually truly care. And that will be reflected in the LOR. So for me, those are things that really stand out.
Yeah. Just to expand on that similar concept, but taking initiative is very important as well, too. While I work in the residency program, or part of the residency program, I'll rephrase, the same way that I judge my residents is the same way I judge my medical students as well, too. So I want them to take initiative. I want them to be proactive with essentially anything, whether it's patient care, whether it's paperwork, whatever it may be. But I want them to make it look like, even if that's not the case, they really want to be here. They really want to learn. And that's exactly what I'm going to give them, is a wonderful learning experience that is very robust and covers multiple different pathophysiologies as well, too. So that's my primary focus. I love to teach as long as someone's willing to listen and learn. I think it's a great match.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I'd like to add one more thing, if that's okay.
Of course.
There's sometimes a misconception that it's very difficult to match in California. I think that's changing. I think that's changing a lot, and I see that directly reflected with the students that rotate with us. They recently, for the past 3 years, I've been seeing a lot of the students matching IMGs, even if they needed visas, matching successfully in both internal medicine and family medicine in California itself. Even Santa Barbara, Inland Empire, Riverside, Temecula. There's some, even in Anaheim area, Orange County, Bakersfield. There's just a lot more in Southern California that are starting to match now. So I don't want students to be afraid of saying, I'm not going to apply to California because it's such a low chance of matching. I want them to hear the success stories of students that have had possibly even a failure on step one, and they still successfully match in California. And students that need visas, and they still successfully match in California. Students that possibly didn't have that many interviews, and they still successfully match in California. And these are stories that, I can vouch for.
Yeah. And also about that, I think a lot of those numbers were skewed in the past because of PTAL specifically. Now PTAL has changed quite a bit and you only have to apply once you match. I think if we look at the numbers, it probably is significantly different. PTAL usually deterred a lot of IMGs from applying to begin with. But at this point in time, I've also noticed a significant uptick in the amount of IMGs matching in California.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wadhwa, Dr. Singh. This was great information and very, very motivating interview for IMGs. Hopefully, it inspires a lot of them to try out California and the rotations. So thank you for that.
I hope they enjoy California as well, too. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope that video provided valuable insights for your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And check out our website for details on how we can guide you to a successful match.